Welcome to solverfy.
All right, so for this procedure, we are creating an algorithm, which we will call onto. And the input is a first list of integers, ai's, of length n. So these are integers. And this is the domain, right? We have a second set of integers as well, since the sort of set of outputs from our function. So that's going to be the codomain. So these are also integers. We have a defined function here, so n and m should be at least 1. And then we also have our function f. Okay, and so we're going to define a function to use here, a new one. We're going to call it hit. So let's sort of make a note here. So the function hit will assign elements in the codomain. So it's our outputs, our b values, to 0. And then we will change the image to 1 if we find a value in the domain that has an element in the codomain, an image element in the codomain. So we're defining this function, we're going to use it. Okay, so for I, as it runs from 1 to m, the length of our codomain, hit, function hit of the codomain value, set it equal to 0. Okay, and then for every element in the image of the domain, or our range, we'll change the image of the function to 1, right? So then for, we're supposed to want a new variable. So for j, from 1 to n. So now we're working in the domain. So 1 to n. We'll use the same function, hit, but as the input, right, we'll use a function. So our function input are at the value of the domain, right? So this function with respect to AI should be giving us some element b of the codomain, right? And so for all of those, we're going to reset it equal to 1. Okay, so we initially mapped every element in the codomain to 0, and then for every one that was a solution to the function of the domain, we changed that to 1. Okay, so now we want to count the elements that had a hit, right, or that were changed to 1. So we'll introduce a new variable here, count. So to be a little counter, and we'll initially set it equal to 0. And then continue on the right here rather than start a new page. Okay, so now we'll do a little for loop, right? So in order to increase our counter, we'll run I, but perhaps we should use a new variable. So let's say k. So for k equal to 1 to m. So that's our codomain length. We'll say, well, if the function hit of this element is equal to 1, right? Well, that means that it was an output of this function. Okay, so then since we're trying to count where that's the case, then we'll want to increase our counter. So then count we can reset to itself plus 1 so that it continues to increase. Okay, so now to determine if the function is onto, it'll be the case that the count is equal to the number of elements in the codomain. So we have one last statement, and that's if count is equal to m, the number of elements in the codomain, then we can say, let's just say truth is equal to true. And if not, then we'll set truth equal to false. Okay, so what we want to return then, it's always good to double check the problem to see what it's asking us, and that was just to determine if it's onto. So what we want to return then is the truth. Is it or is it not onto? And that would conclude